outrageous, absurd, and false. That's a response from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the International Criminal Court. And it comes after the ICC's chief prosecutor said he's seeking the arrest warrants for both the Israeli and Hamas leaders over allegations of war crimes. The charges against Mr. Netanyahu and the Israeli defense minister include extermination, targeting civilians, and using starvation as a weapon of war. Mr. Netanyahu spoke to my colleague Jake Tapper just a couple of hours ago.
I think these charges are exactly as President Biden called them. They're outrageous. They're beyond outrageous. This is a rogue prosecutor that has put false charges and created false symmetries that are both dangerous and false. And the first false symmetry is he equates the democratically elected leaders of Israel with the terrorist tyrants of Hamas. That's like saying that, well, I'm issuing, arrest warrants for FDR and Churchill, but also for Hitler. Or I'm issuing arrest warrants for George Bush, George W. Bush, but also for bin Laden. That's absurd. Secondly, the charges are completely false. Let's take this charge of starvation. We've put in 500,000 tons of trucks of food and medicine for this population. We've taken 20,000 trucks. We've paved roads to put those trucks in. We've opened border crossings that Hamas closed down. I've had airdrops that have facilitated sea route supplies. I mean, the whole thing is absurd.
We should note, though, it's not just the ICC expressing concerns about the lack of humanitarian aid getting into Gaza. President Biden and his administration and their officials, not to mention European allies of Israel and their officials, they've all been making this case for months that Israel is not letting enough aid in. So when President Biden expresses concern about you not letting enough aid in, is he wrong?
Well, no, we had the same concerns. We were trying to get the aid in. We got the aid in, and Hamas was looting the aid. That's what was happening. They were taking it for themselves or extorting the population. We were letting the aid in from the start. And look, this was my directive from day one. The day one thing was we have to we comport with international law. We comport with the rules of war. We have to get those trucks in. And we're getting hundreds of trucks every day in. And that's been an aspect of our conduct of war, because we try to get civilians out of harm's way. We've done things that no country, no army has done in history. It's not me saying that. It's General Petraeus saying that. The head of the urban warfare at West Point, Colonel John Spencer, says it. Israel's gone out of its way both in humanitarian aid and getting civilians out of harm's way with millions of text messages, millions of phone calls and leaflets that we've been dropping, giving up the element of surprise. Israel is given here a bum rap.
Well, Mr. Netanyahu also spoke to Jake Tapper about what a post-war Gaza would look like. The Prime Minister says he wants to see it run by Palestinians, not Israelis. Take a listen.
I'm saying you're taking off an Israeli occupation of Gaza. You're taking off the table an Israeli occupation.
If you mean resettling Gaza, yeah, it was never in the cards, and I said so openly, and some of my constituents are not happy about it, but that's my position. The third thing that I would do is have a reconstruction of Gaza, if possible, done by the moderate Arab states and the international community. That's demilitarization, civilian administration by local Gazans who are not committed to Israel's destruction, and responsible reconstruction. That, I think, is a realistic plan.
Well, our correspondent Jeremy Diamond joins us now live from Jerusalem. Good to have you with us, Jeremy. So you've been listening to that interview. You've been doing the fact-checking. One thing that stood out to me was when Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke about the aid getting in, saying that there's plenty of aid getting in, when just weeks ago the UN warned that the Gaza Strip was on the brink of an imminent, entirely man-made famine. Just explain for us the reality on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, there's the reality on the ground right now, and there's also the reality on the ground that has existed for months, which the Israeli Prime Minister was very much trying to deny in this interview. There was no acknowledgement from the Israeli Prime Minister of the reality of hunger that has spread throughout Gaza, no acknowledgement of the months of warnings from humanitarian aid officials about not enough aid getting into Gaza. And I want to break down a few points that he talked about. I mean, his numbers were right in some respects when he talked about more than 500,000 tons of aid, more than 20,000 trucks getting into Gaza. But the context of those numbers was entirely missing. He did not talk about the amount of pressure that it took for Israel to allow that amount of aid into Gaza in the first place. He didn't talk about the months that it took, the months of pressure that it took until Israel agreed to open up a land crossing directly into northern Gaza. He didn't talk about the month of February, when fewer than 100 trucks of aid per day were getting into Gaza, and when the month after that, the leading authority on global food security said that a famine in northern Gaza was imminent. He also claimed that from day one, Israel has had a policy of allowing aid in. That's simply not true. In the early days of this war, the Israeli government actually announced a total siege of Gaza, and no humanitarian aid trucks made it into the Gaza Strip until 2 weeks into the war. And then, of course, there's the reality right now. The Rafah border crossing remains closed. Kerem Shalom crossing, also in southern Gaza, in theory open, but very few trucks actually making it through and being able to be collected and distributed by the United Nations because of the ongoing fighting there. And so we're seeing right now enormous impacts caused by the Israeli military's activity in the Gaza Strip, a lack of open land crossings according to the United Nations, and just security conditions making it difficult for the United Nations to be able to distribute the aid once it actually gets into Gaza.
I mean, he also said that the chief prosecutor from the International Criminal Court didn't come to Israel, which was indeed incorrect. He did come to Israel. He met with families of the hostages, as you well know. Jeremy Diamond for us in Jerusalem. Good to have you with us as always. Thank you.